Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, a mental performance coach who works with athletes of all ages on helping them improve their mental game. In this episode, I'm going to give you 4 tips that you can use to improve your mindset as an athlete. Tip number 1 is to understand your personality. Back when I played college baseball, I had a lot of coaches tell me that I needed to develop a killer instinct. The only problem was I was a pretty anxious player. I was worried a lot about what other people thought of me. I was pretty wound up, and I played with a lot of fear. And what I found personally, right, this was just my personal experience, was that when I tried to get angry or have that killer instinct and think, I'm going to go out there and dominate and beat everybody, it tended to have the opposite effect where I would get more stressed about whether or not I would win. I would tense up way too much, and it hurt me. For my personality, trying to get angry or have that killer instinct hurt me. I needed to be more relaxed. And it wasn't something I truly understood until I was playing some semi-professional baseball, and I realized I just need to go out there, focus on having fun, and as strange as that sounds, it was the most competitive approach for me to take. And now I've worked with many different athletes from all different ages, like I said, and something that I always talk to them about early on is understanding their personality type. And only they can understand that, right? I've had many players who want to go out there and prove other people wrong, right? They just know that they want to prove other people wrong. This drives them, and they play great. So with that athlete, I'm not going to talk to them about just relaxing and having fun because they want to go out there and dominate the competition. That helps them. But there are other athletes I work with who are more like myself, and they're just as competitive, but they tend to get more anxious. So for them, they need to focus on just enjoying themselves, relaxing, and then they end up playing better. And so something that I truly believe is that a competitive mindset is the mindset that helps you play your best, because that's what competitive means, right? It means you playing your best to beat somebody else. How can you play your best trying to beat somebody else if you're trying to adopt a mindset somebody else tells you need that actually hurts you? So that's my first tip for you. You need to really work on understanding your personality and what ways of thinking, what patterns of thinking, what goals do you need to set, what motivation do you need to have. More, extrinsic reward-driven motivation or more intrinsic, just more enjoyment-based motivation? What kind of motivation do you need to have in order to play your best? And that's where you're going to start to see your mindset go to the next level. Tip number 2 is you want to pay attention to your thoughts. And even more than that, you want to understand the importance of thinking in sports. Now, again, I had many coaches tell me that I don't need to be thinking so much at the plate, and that was probably some of the best advice I have ever got because I, again, was a very anxious player. I overthought. I still overthink. When we think too much when we play, we take ourselves out of the moment. We take ourselves out of the zone, out of the flow, and we keep ourselves from being athletic. We try to think our way to a good competition, and there's no way to do that. But what I'm talking about here isn't about trying to think your way to playing well. What I'm really referring to is the emotional impact of our thinking. When you think negatively, you beat yourself up, you criticize yourself, this hurts your confidence, this hurts your mood, and this hurts your performance. Alternatively, if you're able to think positively, confidently, encourage yourself after mistakes, you'll notice that you'll be more focused, you'll have more confidence, you'll be feeling better, you'll be more energetic, and you're going to play better. But we have to understand that, again, the right type of thinking for me might not be the right type of thinking for you. And that's why I always start with understanding your personality. And I think self-awareness is at the core of any strong mindset because you have to understand yourself on a very deep level. But you also need to understand that no matter what type of thinking you have, something we can pretty much guarantee is that constantly criticizing yourself, beating yourself up, thinking I suck, I'm terrible, thinking, why did, everybody thinks I suck. Those are not going to be helpful thoughts. So what I would encourage you to do is begin paying attention to the types of thoughts you have when you play well and when you feel good, when you feel confident. How do you talk to yourself? Do you encourage yourself? Do you think things like, I know I'm going to go out here and play well today? And then likewise, when you're performing poorly, when you feel down on yourself, when you doubt yourself, how are you thinking? How are you talking to yourself? Our thinking and specifically our self-talk, so the way we're talking to ourselves about ourselves, is critical to have a strong mental game and to have a good mindset as an athlete. And so if you want to improve your mindset, begin improving the way you are talking to yourself. And there are many ways you can do that. And like I said early on in the episode, I work with athletes of all ages, and so I do offer one-on-one coaching, and I also have a online course that's called the Confident Competitor Academy. And so if you're interested in either of those options to help you improve your mental game, and specifically to help you improve your thinking, I'll put links to them in the description below. Tip number 3 is to understand the importance of breathing. Now, I'm sure you've heard coaches say, take a deep breath. Maybe you're nervous. Maybe you're upset. Take a deep breath, right? It's going to help you. That's so true. We have to make sure we are focusing on our breathing, but it's not as simple as going, and all of our troubles are going to go away. We have to understand that the reason breathing helps us is because when we're able to take deep breaths, it does relax us, right? It helps calm ourselves down. But what I find to be way more important than that is it keeps us present. When you want to play your best, you need to do your best to be present. When the mind drifts into the past or drifts into the future, what we'll notice is that fear will set in, anxiety will set in, and we're not going to be playing as well as we can. So we need to be present, and your breathing is probably the best way to keep yourself present. Now, during games, there are many different ways that you can go about focusing on your breath to help you. But I think the simplest way to do so is by using conscious breathing. All conscious breathing means or refers to is that I'm turning my attention or my awareness onto my breath. So maybe I'm getting ready to go out there. I'm sitting on the bench and I'm a basketball player and I'm getting ready to go out. I'm going to focus on my breathing to try to help calm myself down and keep myself present. Maybe I'm getting ready to go up to bat as a softball player. Again, I'm going to focus on my breathing. It's going to help me stay present. But now what about if you are a basketball player or soccer player or a runner, football player, and you're in the middle of the game and you're breathing heavily, you're tired? Well, you don't have to take deep breaths. That's why I said conscious breathing. Conscious breathing is all about focusing on your breath to keep yourself present, but it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to have a slow, deep breath, because that's not going to be very possible if you're in the middle of a tennis match, let's say, and you're breathing heavily. But focusing on your breathing is all about attention, and you can do that at any time. So tip number 3 for you is to really focus on the importance of your breathing and try out some conscious breathing to keep yourself present. And tip number 4 is to learn how to evaluate your game productively. One of the biggest mental game challenges that I help athletes work through is losing their composure, getting too upset, and beating themselves up over mistakes. When this happens, we will see a reduction in confidence, we'll see an increase in fear and anxiety, and we'll also see the tendency to feel as though they have to be perfect, which really does nothing but harm their performance. To be able to move on from mistakes during games, it requires changing your thinking, like I mentioned earlier. It also helps to be more present with your breathing, but it really helps by changing the entire way you look at mistakes and see mistakes, and going from seeing mistakes as a negative to seeing mistakes as a learning opportunity. And so what I mean by learning how to evaluate your game is you want to start thinking back on your performance in an objective way and try to separate yourself from your game emotionally. Now, I know that's probably one of the most difficult things for you to do as a player, to be able to objectively look at your game and think, all right, I did these couple things well, but the rest of it is something that I need to work on, and then this is how I can work on it, without saying, oh, today was crap, this was awful, I sucked today was a bad game. We don't want to have that type of thinking after games. We want to be able to evaluate in a productive and an objective way. So what I would encourage you to do is start thinking back through your games and focusing on the positives, because that really helps build confidence. And then I would learn how to, or practice, not even learn, I would practice writing down or just thinking through just a couple things that you want to learn and improve upon from that game, and then try to focus on them during the week. Because if you want to be a high-level player, you have to take this learning approach and this improvement approach where you're always trying to get better, and you're not demanding yourself to be perfect today. You're wanting to do your best, you're wanting to give full effort today, but you're also accepting that you're going to make mistakes. And what you have to make sure you do is learn from them and improve moving forward. So the 4 tips for you to use if you want to improve your mindset as an athlete are: you want to understand your personality, recognize the importance of your thoughts, use your breathing, right? Try to use that conscious breathing to be present. And then lastly, work on evaluating your game in an objective way. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I do offer one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in working directly with me on improving your mental game, I'll put a link to that in the description below, as well as links to the Confident Competitor Academy, the Mentally Tough Kid program, and then also my new collection of short stories that's right here behind me titled Mind Games. If you have any questions about this video or this episode, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.